A long, long time ago, in an internet galaxy that wasn't that far away, I had a blog. It was a blog that was really actually starting to build momentum before I shut it down. And it was really a blog about movies, movie reviews, movie news, but it just became so much to do, and I wanted to write, and it just really never really got the kind of traction that I'd hoped for to kind of keep it going. I mean, though it was building momentum, it just never seemed to build it enough for me. So I kind of put it on the back burner and put it off to the side. Well, I've decided to dust it off and give it a try in the format that you guys are all mostly familiar with me in. And so, as we do this vlog, here is the inaugural first episode of Fresh Buttered Popcorn. Hello, everybody. Joe Compton here. And in this episode of Fresh Buttered Popcorn, we are going to find out if the DC Universe and Warner Brothers has lost me forever as a fan, or have they gained me back, as we examine this week's release of Wonder Woman. We're also going to give you an alternative film, a movie, an indie movie that maybe you have an Indieplex near you, or you have a big giant theater that has a couple spots for indie films. This movie might be there, and if it is, it's definitely worth the opportunity to go and check out. Or is it? We'll find out. And that movie is called The Lovers. And then we're going to scour Netflix for, we're going to dust off an oldie but a goodie and kind of bring this whole thing full circle, as it's kind of got a little bit of the Wonder Woman theme in it. So let's sit back and enjoy some fresh buttered popcorn, shall we? I should mention right off the top here that all my reviews are spoiler free. So these reviews will not include any specific scenes or any specific dialogue that may give a plot point away or may um, deter from your viewing pleasure. I'm sure you'll let me know if I cross that line, but I'm pretty confident I will not. Um, but that being said, shall we get into our first film, which is, of course, Wonder Woman? So, you know, I was a huge fan of the trailers for Batman versus Superman and the Suicide Squad. Both sucked me in and got me, they got my money and got me into the theater. And I was highly disappointed in both. Uh, so you can imagine my hesitation. Having seen the Wonder Woman trailer, first off, I wasn't blown away by the trailer. I thought the trailer was pretty lackluster. And so I was okay with kind of letting it go. But then it started to build momentum, and people were starting to say this was a really good movie. This is well worth it. And, you know, Wonder Woman's one of those unique superheroes that has a pretty cool origin. And maybe, just maybe, this movie had something that would be worth seeing. So I was really going into this movie theater thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be the last time. If they don't grab me here, they'll never grab me. I just won't do it again. I don't care how good the trailers are, how much hype all the other movies are getting. I just can't keep doing it to myself. So it would really have to have hit it out of the park for me to, you know, kind of go, okay, I'm back in. Well, you're looking at somebody who is back in. Yes, this movie hit it out of the park for me. It is one of those movies that it's the first time that DC really has embraced its inner child, per se. I know a lot of people are hoping that DC kind of goes the way of Logan and Deadpool and Dark Knight for the most part, and get darker and get stronger, um, really deep and introspective, and not so campy and so fluffy, for lack of a better term. Well, this movie's not fluffy, and it's certainly not. It's got a little bit introspection, but it's not. It's not. It is a little campy in respects to even Batman v Superman and The Dark Knight for sure. And I think if you're a fan of Logan, Deadpool, and The Dark Knight, you're gonna think this movie's probably pretty good, even still. But it's not gonna be your favorite. You're gonna be like, you know. But I think if you're a fan of the Captain Americas and the Avenger movies, you're really, really going to like this movie because it's kind of got that same tone. It's got that same movement, and I guess this movie sings really well. It starts you right from the beginning. It has this little hiccup right at the beginning, but it brings you in with that little hiccup, and then it just goes. And once it goes for the entirety of, for the most part of the movie, and it really does an amazing job. I think DC has done something that Marvel hasn't yet, and that is produce the origin story. They had the origin story part of their philosophies down. I mean, even Batman, even Man of Steel, uh, even Suicide Squad. The best part of Suicide Squad were the origin stories. Those little vignettes with Bullseye and Harley Quinn were the best parts of those movies. I where I thought Suicide Squad failed was actually the interlocking story where they had to be the heroes, and they had this ridiculous plot going on throughout their city, and to bring them all together. I thought that was where it was really just hokey and horrible, and it just clunky and didn't work. Well, Wonder Woman weaves that in very, very seamlessly. And not only seamlessly, but to a point where it makes sense. It's all linear and it's all focused, and it moves in the way it's supposed to move. You get a piece of every character that it touches along the way as well, which is fantastic. That is something that has been lacking in a lot of these movies, even the Captain America sagas, I think, and the Avenger sagas. The origin story in this movie is just amazingly foretold. It is just got it has all the detail that you would want. And I know some fans are screaming bloody murder about some of the little things that they took creative license on or liberties on. And comic book fans are always going to be that way. There's just nothing you can do about that. I think as filmmakers, you have to make a choice. And I think Patty Jenkins, who I think is a fantastic filmmaker, and she was the absolute right choice for this movie to do. Um, really chose the angle she wanted to go, and she stuck by her guns, and that's admirable. That is something that you have to respect. I don't care if you like the movie or not. You have to respect that she made a choice and she went with it and she kept at it. And I think that's the best thing about why this movie is successful. I think that's why this movie is successful, like it or hate it. And I don't know too many people that hate it. There's some people that thought it was good, but you know, this movie really, for me, won me over pretty quickly and kept me. And I was really excited. There's some awesome. I mean, I was worried about Gal Gadot. I'll be straight up forward with you because she was so terrible in Batman v Superman, and I think now looking back on it, a lot of what it was her just attempting the character and not getting a lot from that movie. She didn't get a lot of substance in that movie, and that really hurt the idea of Wonder Woman. And I think that also soured me a little bit toward the its own story movie, its own companion movie, if you will. And I thought maybe, well, she couldn't carry 20 minutes of Batman v Superman. How's she going to carry 2.5 hours? Well, I was absolutely 100% wrong. She was the perfect person for this. There's even a moment in this movie where she's on the ground and looking up, and you could swear that they CGI'd Linda Carter right into that. I mean, she looks like spot on Linda Carter. She is not she's not Linda Carter. She's not any other inclination of Wonder Woman you've seen before, but that moment was like, whoa! It was kind of deja vu, weird for me. But she really takes the emotional moments and harnesses them pretty well. Um, she still has some ways to go, I think, with her range, but they did good job. Patty Jenkins, again, being the filmmaker and the auteur that she is, she was able to rein that in a bit and give her moments, but still, kind of embrace those moments for what they were and not make her stretch it or have her hold on to it. In fact, she really relies on Chris Pine a lot for that. And that's another scary thought. I mean, Chris Pine, most of the time, when given those moments, has been pretty much pine wood, but he has started to come around, and you're starting to see his evolution. And this movie really fosters a lot of what he can do as an actor, and it gives him opportunities to show that. And he for the most part does a very good job of hitting those. I will say the dialogue is somewhat predictable. The plot line moves the way you think it's going to move, but all that aside, you don't think about that because you're enthralled by it. You're brought into it. And I have to tell you, the real triumph of this movie is the fight scenes. The fight scenes are so well, they're crisp, they're 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 there. You can see them. They don't try to move too fast. They don't try to move too slow. They kind of interweave the two styles together. And the coolest thing about the fight scenes are the little Easter eggs. If you are a comic book fan, this is where you can really shine and really feel like this movie is speaking to you, because they do little subtle things. Whenever they slow it down, there's this little Easter egg that they plant. I saw like three or four of them myself, and I bet you when I see this movie again, I'll pick up three or four more, and I think that's the point. Um, but they do. They kind of interweave those in very subtly. You have to pay attention if you're going to go see this movie. I don't want you to just pay attention to that. Hopefully, you're just into the movie and you pick those up a little bit. But the second or third time when you go see it, definitely look for those because they're there, and it's very cool. It's a great homage to comic book fans and the DC universe in a whole. The supporting cast is absolutely stellar in this movie. I think this movie would have a hard time getting through the first 35 minutes if not for Robin Wright. Robin Wright is so awesome in this movie. She's really, really strong, and she really carries the young girl portion of Diane Prince's life, and and gives you that. Connie Nielsen also does a very good job of holding on to that as well, and playing. But when she's good, she's really at her best when she's playing off of Robin's lead, and I think Robin does give a bit of a lead in this movie that allows everybody else around them to kind of grow and become what it is. There's some great little the squad that they put together for Wonder Woman. You get all of their little backstories, and you get all their subtleties. You get even the villain subtleties. You get all that. You get all the backstories. You get of course, the protagonist and antagonist's big backstories, and those are very, very cool. This movie, in my opinion, is an A plus. It will be on my top 10 list at the end of the year. When I do a mainstream movie top 10 list, this will make it. I have no doubt about it. I do not believe I will see. I might see movies that are better than this, but I will not see I don't think I'll see 10 movies that will be better than this one this year. So I definitely believe it will be on my top 10 list. So that being said, If you liked Captain America and the Avengers, you will like Wonder Woman. I promise you. It's got the same tone, it's got the same velocity, and it's even, I think they take a lot of what those movies had little flaws, and those little flaws they tighten them in Wonder Woman. So uh very worth it. Look, if you're a comic book fan at all, if you have a young daughter, this movie doesn't have that much blood. It doesn't have that much it has violence. That's the only thing about it. It doesn't have gratuitousness. It has Chris Pine has a shirt off, or well, actually he's fully naked, but you only see, what you're supposed to see, without it being, a porn or X-rated or even R-rated. So this movie is very suitable for young women, I think, in most part, and I think they will enjoy it. So if you have daughters, this might be a good time for a mother and daughter excursion if you're both comic book folk. Um, and I think also, uh, if you like Deadpool, if you love Deadpool, if you love Dark Knight, I think you'll get a kick out of this movie. I think you'll find something that you like about this movie. You may not like it all. You may not think it's the greatest movie you've ever seen. You may think it's okay, which is fine, because I felt the same way about Logan. I thought it was okay, but we can get into that another time. But Wonder Woman for me, A+. So that brings us to our second film that I'm going to talk about in this episode, which is an indie film. It's called The Lovers. It stars Terry Stotts and um, Deborah Winger in roles and performances that they were born to play. I really think that. This movie, if you are snarky, sarcastic, you like quick wit, you like moments and funny situations, this is a great movie to go and see. It's crass. The subject matter is just a little taboo, just a little bit. It borders on being eccentric in its subject matter, but that may actually play into its strength a little bit. But it does it so tongue in cheek. And look, cheating and the subject matter is about cheating. And yeah, that's a tough thing. A lot of us have been hurt by that sentiment. A lot of us don't believe in it. All the morality aside and all of that aside, this movie is really about two people who don't have any that have scruples, but uh, they have this need to live, and it's really apparent. And they find common ground, which is something that they hadn't had in 30 years of marriage, you know, and everybody around them is seeing them either change or they start out with this doldrums and then they start to evolve and change, and everybody around them seeing that. It's a great film um for what it is, and it is cut perfectly. It's edited so finely, and it moves, and it has a pace to it. It has one moment about mid to the end that it slows down just a tad, and he kind of loses a little bit there. But for the most part, it moves very well, it's over before you know it. And that, for an independent film, that's a pretty good thing when you're talking about that's something that has to be carried by heavy dialogue. Uh, there's this interesting hue that's very like reminiscent of indie films. This kind of yellowish hue. It's really reminiscent of New York style films. The Woody Allen type films or the Jim Jarmusch films. Um, where those are usually stark grays, or they have the muted tones. Well, this one has that LA yellow to it, and it's set in LA, so it makes sense. The Azil Jacobs, who is the writer and director, who did this little movie called Risk Cutters: A Love Story. If you've seen that movie, then you're really going to like this movie, because it's an improvement on that movie, really. And if you haven't seen that movie, go see that movie as well. But he is a brilliant writer. This is probably one of the best written pieces I've seen performed. Terry Stotts is fantastic in this movie. Uh, he's been a character actor and a Broadway actor most of his life. So to see him on the big screen performing this, it's very, very cool. And Deborah Winger, I promise you, is going to get some talk and consideration come Oscar time, come award show time, award season time. This movie is going to garner her some thought. People are going to give notice to this. They always love the comeback story. Deborah Winger has always been a fan favorite of a lot of folks, and she has impressive moments that I think were garnered for grabbing awards, and which is okay because it's within the context of the film, and I don't mind that if that's the case. But I think that's what you're going to see. She's going to get some recognition. This movie is going to clean up at the Independent Spirit Awards. It's going to be nominated for a lot. I don't know if it'll win. There's time will tell. There's still a whole year left. And again, much like Wonder Woman, this movie most likely will reach my top 10 indie top 10. I don't know if it'll reach my mainstream top 10. Um, right now it is there. It's seated in a position, but it's it's still because of those little moment, and you know it didn't win me over at first. It took me some time to get won over. Um, I think it's movable in that regard, but I think it will definitely make my indie top 10 when you see my indie top 10 show and we talk about the Independent Spirit Awards. And if you don't know what those are, stay tuned. You're going to get a lot about that throughout more of my fresh buttered popcorn episodes. But this movie is an A minus for me. Performances are A plus. Direction is an A. Cinematography A minus. Um, but the script is A plus as well. But it's definitely a movie that if you see it in your theaters, go and check it out. It's a good departure film. It's only 97 minutes or so, so it's a good way to kill an hour and a half. And earmark it for if it's not in a theater near you. If you live in a small town and you only have one theater or whatever, and they only play mainstream movies, uh, earmark it because it'll be worth it to get it on Netflix or cable or Amazon Prime when it comes. That brings us to our Netflix picks for this episode. So we know at Netflix is this vast library and it's growing day by day, and it gets harder and harder to find quality movies. So with that in mind, I'm going to start in my first episode with a movie that probably you've heard of. Most likely you've heard of. Most likely you know the actress who's in the movie from other things she's doing now. And you probably, if you haven't seen it, probably thought to yourself at one point you wanted to see it, but you never got around to it, or maybe you didn't think about it then, and now it sounds pretty good to you. Well, it's there on Netflix, and the movie I'm referring to, the actress I'm referring to, is Keisha Castle Hughes, who you most likely know from season 5 of Game of Thrones. Um, and forgive me, I'm not a Game of Thrones person. She plays Anna Sans or something to that effect. Um, but she's also in another show on Showtime called Roadies, which is the Cameron Crowe show about roadies in a rock band. And she's one of the roadies. She was one of the youngest persons ever nominated for an Academy Award. In fact, she is the youngest. She's tied. At 9 years old, she was nominated for a little movie called Whale Rider. And that's the movie I'm recommending everybody go and check out on Netflix. If you've never seen this movie, it is totally worth it, especially if you've just gone and seen Wonder Woman, because it ties in so beautifully with that theme. It's a movie about a New Zealand tribe that picks its chief based upon a school that they run young boys through, and they only allow boys in this school. But the one of the main teachers has a daughter, and she has always wanted to be like her father. So he allows her to participate with the boys and be a part of the class to a certain extent. He has some boundaries that she's not allowed to cross, and it's all about the idea that you know she wants this badly, and this is her passion, and she wants to prove that she can be the next chief of this tribe. So it's all about her journey through that. It's very awesome. It's a very cool movie. Yeah, the dialect is a little strong, so it gets hard to understand at times. But honestly, they when they know that that's happening, they kind of turn on a little bit more charm and use a little bit more visuals, which I think is a very cool trick. Very smart choice by the director. It is a movie again. You know, um, bookend it with Wonder Woman with your daughter. If you're going to having a mother daughter day, go and watch Wonder Woman, then come home to Netflix, grab Whale Rider, and check that out as well. I think that they'll really love that movie. It came out in 2002. It's very easy to find on Netflix. You just type in Whale Rider, and it'll pop right up. It'll be the first one. If you type in whale, I think it'll be the first one. Blackfish might be right behind it, but I think whale. I think that's the title in the title. So the title is what they search for first in Netflix. If you didn't know that, that's the algorithm that they use is title. And if you can't find it that way, which I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but it's under the independent category as well. And it's a lot harder to find that way. You have to search through about 40 or 50 movies. It's toward the bottom of the page because it's a little older. But that's my recommendation. So go see Wonder Woman, then come home, put on Whale Rider, and have a great day of empowerment and feeling like you can, take on the world, because those movies really do make you feel that way. And that's it. So we will see you next time on the next episode. And till then, remember, it's always time to go Indy now. Hey, thanks a lot for watching our latest episode of our show. I hope you're enjoying what you're watching. And if you are, it would be really great if you could please like the video, share it, comment. It really helps us out. It gets us seen. It gets all these indie artists seen. And it's really an important thing for the YouTube community. So please, definitely like, share, comment the video that you just watched and any video that we produce. We always welcome feedback, and we always welcome uh, the community to share what we're doing. It's really awesome, and that you guys are a part of this and helping us out. Also, please, if you see something you like or you think that's interesting, or you listen to an interview and you want to learn more about that person, go to our website. Our website link is going to be right here on this video. So check it out and go and patronize these great indie artists. Go buy their stuff. We have all the links to everything you could buy from them on our website. You can also go to their website and sign up for their newsletters, sign up for their blogs, and help get the word out about all of them. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.